This is Angel Metro, and you are watching BJ and DG right now.
Welcome.
Hi.
What's happening?
Not much. I thought you were introing
How's
it.
it going?
I started to. Yeah. False start.
Take two.
Let me
Live
try-
take two.
Welcome back, everybody. BJ here. DJ.
Yeah, I'm over here somewhere, you know. How's it going, everybody? And with us, as always, sometimes, Chef the Ref.
Was that a record for the earliest derailment of the show?
That's not even a derailment. That's just a full-blown botch. Look, now you got me screwing up. And we're about 5 minutes out probably from him spilling something, so...
Hey, traditions
Mrs.
are
Danger Ginger.
traditions. I am DG.
DJ and Jerry.
So, everybody, how's everybody's
So-
week been? Good, I hope.
It's been less busy than last week.
Yeah. Wasn't feeling well all week. Didn't get much done. Super disappointing. Watched a lot of wrestling. Played a lot of WWE 2K25.
Well,
Nice.
it couldn't have been as disappointing as watching Collision last night, and at 9:30, Black Adam comes on, and not even the last two matches we were supposed to see.
The biggest news in AEW this week.
Yeah. That's all I'm hearing about.
Yeah, right. Because there were some pretty good matches on AEW this week.
Hey, the
To
last
be
two might have been the
perfectly
best
honest.
matches of the week, but we don't know.
I mean, my match of the week isn't any of them, so.
Oh, we'll find that out later, right?
But yeah, why don't we start with some AEW? You know, that's,
Sure.
you know, nice opening to Dynamite with Hangman Adam Page and Will Ospreay against Josh Alexander and Takeshita.
Yeah, I like Josh Alexander in AEW. They got a lot of good matches that opened up for him going over there. I'm excited to see where his storyline goes, especially as part of the Callis family.
Yeah, I think that match went like a good 20 minutes. Like they straight went into it. Like there was no promo before it. Straight into that match. And boy, even after the breakdown, we kind of get the moment where Ospreay turned around after the match and hit Page, thinking that he was somebody else from the Callis family.
Yeah. So be it. We knew that wasn't going to be a long-lived alliance. It was only, a tag team put together out of necessity.
Yeah, so and that them also being the finals of the Owen.
Yeah.
Which I believe is Double or Nothing this Sunday as well. Like, is there just that much wrestling on this weekend?
Could be.
Yeah.
But have to pick and choose.
Yeah.
There's more wrestling.
Honestly, for the Owen final winner, how much I want it to be Will Ospreay, I think it's going to be Adam Page, and at All In, Adam Page could be the one to actually dethrone Mox. Because Samoa Joe didn't get the job done thanks to Gabe Kidd debuting this week.
Yeah, we were all hoping Samoa Joe would do it, but no avail.
Not on free TV anyway.
No.
They're running out of believable competitors.
Yeah.
I mean, Joe
Page
had
could be
him
one of
until. Yeah, I mean, Joe had him until Gabe Kidd.
Right.
Which is an interesting surprise. Kind of excited for what matchups we could get to see from New Japan and people that we haven't seen him compete with yet.
Yep. Yeah, lots of guys changing companies this time of year. And girls, for that matter.
Yeah, it is that time of year. And it's surprising people thinking it might be 2005 when I say this. Zach Gowen had a match with Ricochet.
Definitely not 2005 if it's against Ricochet, but I see your point.
Well, Zach Gowen wrestling.
Yes, yes.
on TV. Like he still does wrestle, I believe, on the
Oh, yeah.
indies and stuff, but we haven't seen him actually wrestle on TV since I want to say like 2005 because he was feuding with Brock for a bit. I want to say it was around that time.
Sounds about right. But yeah, good to see him back. And yeah, I mean, he put on a good show against Ricochet. I mean, obviously wasn't going to get the win, but did
He got his leg.
what we. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And then this is probably my favorite moment from Dynamite this week was after the tag team title eliminator with the Hurt Syndicate defeating Top Flight. We get Dustin and Sammy coming out, because they want to challenge for the tag team championships, which, hey, who are the number one contenders? Is it Crew, who also came out wanting to challenge for those titles, or what? Hey, can somebody fill us in here? Because apparently TNT said we're not allowed to know.
Yeah, the whole tag team division is just crazy, and not showing the matches doesn't help.
Yeah, it's going to be a running thread of that this week. I hope you guys are ready. But anyway, we go to commercial, and we come back with them looking for MJF, who is in Gorilla with Tony Khan.
Hiding behind and underneath the table.
Oh, man.
We're back to comedy MJF, apparently.
For the moment, anyway.
Yeah.
So we finally get him out to the ring. And we
with
get
an
our
escort
decision.
from Shelton Benjamin.
Yeah, and he looks like he's getting walked into the desert at the moment if you were only paying attention to his face.
Yeah. Yeah. He's Pesci getting escorted into a house.
Oh. Ooh.
Oh no.
But yeah, after we get 2 right aways from MVP and Shelton,
the
which
2
has
that
been
we've
consistent.
been getting for weeks now. Yep.
And then we get the whole moment. Lashley arm around MJF. He gets the thumbs up, and this guy jumps in Bobby Lashley's arms.
I can't wait.
That move just seemed so out of yet in character at the same time for MJF.
With whatever's going on with him at the moment.
Yeah.
Now, I still don't believe that he's actually a member, because now next week we get the Hurt Syndicate contract signing.
Yeah. So, but he's got to have his lawyer look it over first. Smart Mark Sterling.
See how well that goes.
Yeah, right? Because Smart Mark Sterling's been so great for all of his clients.
Yeah.
I think they'll drag it out for a little while, maybe a couple weeks. I don't think this will be the.
I feel like we're already at that point because they've been dragging this out over a month, almost a month now, of the whole weekly thing. I think that it's MJF isn't the new member, and that we'll probably find out this week who it was or is.
Well, I mean, it's going to be Cedric Alexander one way or another, but I think
that's what I'm thinking too.
I think it drags out a couple more weeks. We could see it end this week. We'll see.
I feel like this would be the most. I feel like it's the most logical spot now, because now we're in that contract signing moment. So for somebody, and when do contract signings ever actually go well in pro wrestling?
Well, I had a feeling, some teams might come out and challenge, for the tag team titles, and that's where things go awry.
Well, we would know who those number one contenders were if we had been able to see the rest of Collision this week.
Oh yeah, assuming that that match didn't happen. Are they going with that? Is that incontinent?
So bad that it got scrubbed.
They got erased from existence.
Yeah, and then after that on Dynamite, we had the women's fatal 4-way eliminator match for the women's championship with Mina making her return and pinning Toni Storm. Sky Blue also returned in this match. and
Yep,
had
good to see
the
both of them back.
AZM, who beat Mercedes for the New Japan Strong Women's Championship.
Yep. Yeah, good match. Happy with the result there. Always good to see Mina Shirakawa, and seemed like Tony was happy to see her too.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to the match.
Oh yeah,
That definitely seems like it's because we've seen what they've done in the ring before.
yep, yeah. For that title match that they had, episode of Tony Storm's time.
Yeah, so I don't think Monet beats Tony Storm, but I think that Tony Storm's looked to be more beatable so far in this run than she did before.
Yeah, yeah. So, but I don't mind if I do pick Tony Storm in that matchup.
Boy, man, is your apartment driving? That's just what I hear. It sounds like.
Mine's actually prancing like a horse.
Let me switch mics. Maybe that'll help.
Well, we'll mute you at the moment while you do that.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
At least you're not in catering.
Yeah.
I said it's not necessary. Oh.
There we go.
So, from the way it looks, we're getting Nigel McGuinness back in the ring, tag teaming with Daniel Garcia against FTR at Double or Nothing.
Sure.
That's better?
Yes, that's better.
Okay. Also, there's no traffic right now on the road. That could have been what you were hearing.
But yeah.
So, yeah, but
Boy.
Nigel McGuinness and Daniel Garcia teaming up against FTR. No way I'm picking against FTR in this match, just because, like, they're the actual team. Nigel McGuinness is coming from the announce table to wrestle. Yeah, just logic tells you FTR is winning that.
Yeah, Nigel gets some fun offense in, but that's about all.
I don't know. In all honesty, I can see this as a case being where FTR beats themselves. And
Yeah.
you just get that moment because Nigel hasn't won a match since he's lost both matches he's wrestled, right?
As he probably should. Yeah. If he's going against guys who are doing it all the time, I would expect him to lose.
Yeah, at some point, I think you
Put
gotta
up a
let him
fight
get
but lose.
one. You know,
Yeah. You don't have to let him
and
get any. Just honestly, you don't. You can let him have a fun
but then
match.
what good does that do for Garcia if they go in there and lose?
Gives him something to do on the card other than nothing to do.
Hey, Captain
Hey,
Heel,
what,
what's going
want
on?
to eat a pin? Here you go, kid.
Pretty much, yeah. Nigel eats the pin, but they both have good showings in the match. FTR gets the win and progresses on their tag team conquest attempt again. And there we are.
Well, honestly, how I see it is it's going to be a situation where Nigel McGuinness legitimately has to win, but FTR, as will be the great heel tag team they are, will cheat the win, and as they should with Stokely in the corner.
Sure.
But
Yeah,
I can
Stokely
see
Hathaway
it being,
definitely brings that.
yeah. And we already talked. Oh well, we talked about the AEW World Title match, but we didn't talk about what happened after the match, where we had the Young Bucks out. We started having the sides of coming out, and Swerve hits that ring, and we essentially get the challenge for Anarchy in the Arena with the Young Bucks and Death Riders taking on Ops, Swerve, and I feel like I'm missing somebody.
There's got to be a fifth in there. But I'm not sure off the top of my head.
Oh, Kenny. Kenny Omega.
Ah, that makes sense. So, but yeah, hopefully Anarchy in the Arena is more like the first one than the second one.
You know, Captain Hill, that's what I've been asking for the last 15 minutes we've been live.
15 minutes? You've been asking that for almost a full day.
Well, I've
I've
just
been
been
asking
saying
it since night.
But yeah, so Anarchy in the Arena at Double or Nothing.
That's going to be insane.
Hopefully.
Oh, don't be sorry, because they're probably not. They don't care that they get to see who the number one contenders are to the tag team titles. It could be our Ring of Honor tag team champion. It could be Leo Rush and Action Andretti. Who knows?
Where is what is it? Double or Nothing?
In an arena somewhere.
I don't know where Double or Nothing's
give me a
taking
moment.
place from. San Antonio is All In, right?
Yes.
That's the one coming up, right? Double or Nothing. Or am I?
Yeah. Is that Vegas again? Usually it wasn't Double or Nothing.
It's in Glendale,
Vegas?
Arizona at Diamond Arena.
Arizona.
Okay.
Yeah, but something happened. Yeah, something happened to where they couldn't get Vegas this time around. No, they purposely didn't do it because WrestleMania was just there, so they weren't trying to still compete in a market that after
right.
Yeah, and who's already had probably 2 weeks worth of amazing wrestling going on between the indies and then the big companies coming in and all the cons and stuff. But no, it's
AEW is not coming in there to run a half-filled stadium.
Yeah, so they're running the Desert Diamond Arena in Glendale, Arizona.
Okay.
That's open air?
I think I don't know what it is.
Never been to Arizona, so couldn't tell you.
I have, but I haven't been to Glendale. Phoenix, Scottsdale, sure. Glendale, no.
That is just a normal arena.
Okay.
We're not talking about they're doing the Cardinals.
Is that where the Suns play, I guess?
I don't know. I've never heard of it, but...
What are the Suns?
But yeah, so I enjoy these crazy matches like this, where we just get these insane spots and stuff you wouldn't typically see. I always thought it was better fit for like COVID because a lot of it doesn't happen in front of fans.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, you can do the cinematic stuff all over the place. You can track it and like just do your cuts and your direction and everything for it. And everyone has the spots planned out, obviously, because you got to know where everything's happening across the whole arena. So everything's pretty well planned and coordinated. They probably storyboard these things out first, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, especially once you know what areas of the arena you have to use, and once you're there and can actually physically plan the spot and see like, oh, we're not going to have enough space to run Sammy Guevara over with a car again.
Yeah, there's no way we can get a camera up there.
Yeah.
What's the highest rail we can jump from?
Yes. Speaking of AEW and jumping off high stuff, Darby made it to the summit on his climb. So
good for him.
He will be.
So did he try jumping off it afterwards?
No, no footage yet. From what I heard, he's climbing back down.
Okay. Until he gets to a spot where he can jump. And he should just snowboard the whole way down.
Right?
That
skateboard down.
He did a kickflip at one point on there, the world's highest elevated kick.
Yeah, at one of the camps, yeah.
Like Tony Hawk, just grind your way down, manual.
Yeah, there's the new course on the new Tony Hawk video game.
Oh.
The Everest downhill.
Kind of like Phoenix Downhill Jam, but way bigger. Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be a cool monster truck game, actually, you know. Race down Everest.
You know, and then move on to what there was of Collision this week. I'll bring back up Captain Hill's comment. You know,
See, Captain Heel, it was a worthy comment.
some notable stuff from there. Megan Bain defeating Anna Jay, which was actually a pretty good match. I had actually started Collision a little late. So Kyle Fletcher and AR Fox, you know, I fast forward through that because AR Fox never wins.
Right.
Kyle Fletcher's been hot lately.
And it's Kyle Fletcher, so you know they're pushing him.
I thought the Birdie King, Ishii, and Bandito match against the Callis family was a fun 6-man tag.
Okay.
Mike Bailey and Blake Christian actually put on a good match. Bailey challenged Okada for the Continental Championship afterwards, but he gets attacked by Roosh and Dralistico. Yeah.
See?
You know, and then the tag team street fight with Big Bill and Brian Keith beating the Gates of Agony. And it was a nice.
Yep, we gotta wait till
but there was supposed to be
there
more.
It is. Steve Mongo McMichael tribute.
Yeah. Yeah, and then this shit. They played The Rock's worst movie.
Scorpion King?
Come on.
No, Black Adam. Somebody, Rikishi went to like Warner and went in there, was like, I did it for The Rock. And just cut it off. Oh, man. Yeah. But yeah, with the 6-man tag, it was nice to see the Outrunners actually being used on TV again. I'm a huge fan of them, and they were hot, and then all of a sudden they just disappeared.
Yeah.
That's what AEW does.
Yep.
AEW brings in their new shiny toy, play with it for about 5 episodes, and then they put it back in the box and forget about it for 6 months to a year, if ever remembered again.
Yep.
All right. So, let's talk something to where our shows might get cut off at the end of the show, but not by 30 minutes. Again, bring this back up.
We're going to keep reusing that. We're going to need to figure out a way to save that comment and just like keep bringing it up. On future episodes, I mean.
We can screenshot and cut it out. We can do something with that.
Perfect.
AEW's the new magic show.
Now, only an hour and a half.
Disappearing half hour.
With 20 minutes of content.
Where did it go? We don't know.
You didn't want to see pesky last half hour.
There's not going to be anything fun in the main event. Why would that be happening?
We know the only reason you have the TV on is waiting for Black Adam to come on.
Yeah, like why else would anybody want to be watching this? Nobody watches AEW. They watch for what comes on afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, Black Adam.
Yeah. Just like, I used to watch WCW just for Walker, Texas Ranger,
Well, that was Chuck Norris, so that's fair.
And I watched Monday Night Raw for Pacific Rim. Or Pacific Blue. But then Nikita.
There's so many shows I only watched because now I'm a Modern Family fan just because it comes on after Dynamite, and Dynamite is a really short show in comparison to WWE, so I never expect for it to end. So it always catches me off guard, and I'm like, oh, I've been watching Modern Family for 15 minutes.
Yeah, well, Dynamite also has that annoying overrun where, like, I DVR it and watch it later, so if I don't also DVR Modern Family, then I don't get to watch the end of Dynamite.
So you probably get like the end of Dynamite and like just enough of Modern Family to like get invested and be like, oh, I want to see this episode, and then it ends.
No, I actually tried watching Modern Family in the past, and it had funny moments, but yeah, overall, not holding my attention.
It's one that like it's fine if it's on in the background and you're doing other stuff, but like I would never like sit there.
Catering.
Sorry, I had to go grab a snack real quick, but I'm back. So let's talk some NXT.
Let's do. Where do you want
Which
to
I
start?
didn't.
Which amidst all that, we could also talk about Battleground coming up and give picks on that because apparently everybody wants to have a wrestling show this weekend.
Hey, why not? It's a good weekend for wrestling, apparently.
Yeah, sure.
It's right before Memorial Day weekend. The AEW feed. Only a day late.
So we get Miles Bourne starting off the show this week, talking about becoming number one contender, and
good for him.
He announces that he is half deaf.
Yep.
Which now that fully explains his speech patterns and everything. I initially thought it was a lisp or something that he had, but knowing now that he has the hearing impairment, 100% understand why he speaks the way he does.
Yeah, we get Ethan Page interrupting him, challenging him to a match for that number one contendership, which Ava comes out and makes the match. But after that, we get Obafemi and Charlie Dempsey.
Mm-hmm.
It was a better match than I thought it was going to be perfectly honest.
Well, with Charlie Dempsey's technical abilities and his bloodline, you would expect him to be able to put up a fight against Obafemi, and he did. But, Obafemi is just a beast, and he's not, Charlie Dempsey was basically a just warm-up for him. It was a tough warm-up, but still basically a warm-up.
Riveting comments there from DJ. Absolutely.
He didn't watch it, so you can't fault him for that.
I'm not able to watch NXT. I have the app. I can watch next day, but I never do.
No, so he's getting information from us, just as all of these lovely folks out there are. So
Learning.
So then we have Wesley who defeats Tony D'Angelo thanks to Stacks appearing on the screen at the Rizzo safe house.
Yep, yeah, of course he knew where the safe house was. Why? That was one of the things that it was like, okay, why are you taking her to one of your old safe houses? Obviously, this is not a safe house from who you need to be safe from. That's just bad mafia.
Oh,
Monticello.
Oh, that's beautiful. I don't know why,
How
but
he managed to get Tay Conti.
Right? So we know now that we have Tony D'Angelo and Stacks at Battleground.
That's the only way this could have gone.
Yeah. We even see them fighting later on at the safe house when Tony goes to make sure Rizzo's okay.
Yeah.
Who do you think comes out on top on this one?
Honestly, I think that Stacks takes this one. I think that this is a feud that's meant to build him up more than Tony D. I think Tony D is already built up where he needs to be. And this is definitely Stacks' time to rise.
Yeah. I mean, I could see where this one's more like a 50-50 because you can see where it goes.
It'll be back and forth.
I do think Stacks wins, and it's because he's turned everybody now against Tony. I think that it's going to be a full-on blown thing where Stacks is now taking control of the family. This is a hostile takeover.
Setting up Tony for like a solo thing.
Yeah, like I think we could see Tony get called up to the main roster. I think he's ready to get up.
So
I think
my big question:
package his gimmick just enough to fit in with what the main roster does. It'll need a little bit of adjusting.
Yeah.
which is fine.
So
Yeah,
my
you
big
can't be
question is still, my big question is still, where is Luca Crucifino? Did Stax actually drive him out to the desert and whack him, or what?
Oh, hey, that's what we're going to find out probably at Battleground. So from the chat here, 100 Jack Perry's versus one straight edge gorilla. All right, guys,
CM
come on. All right, who you got, BJ? 100 Jungle Boys or one straight edge gorilla?
This isn't wrestling.
And it damn sure isn't PG, but we are discussing it.
Yeah, where is Jack Perry? Ain't seen him in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, well, we saw Anna Jay this week.
Yeah, the better
So
half of Jack Perry.
behind.
Well, hopefully.
Oh, but no, I do think Stax wins that match. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's set up for him to win.
And later on in the night, we had Miles Bourne beat Ethan Page. You know, that was good. That's a good, solid win for him going into Battleground.
Yep. Gives him a little more credibility going in there, a little more legitimacy as a contender. But, it's still Obafemi that he's got to beat. And that's a very tall order.
This guy's just on fire today. I don't know where he came from within the internet highway, but I'm glad that there was a stop here. This is absolutely
my comment is only once.
He's at least had to bleed on 98% of those buses.
Oh yeah, it was from that bus. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it wasn't from Claudio.
Oh boy. Yeah, this whole show's just going off the rails now. That's it.
What rails?
Yeah, just like the Empire, we forgot to install them. So, Stephanie Vakir and that whole thing with Jordan Grace. We get Fatal Influence setting up. I believe it was a match. The match for later on in the night.
Yep.
But I'm invested in this Vakir Grace match. I don't know about y'all.
100% I'm invested in this. This is two of the best women's wrestlers out there right now. And they're going to be facing each other for arguably the most important women's title currently, the NXT women's title. So this is a stacked roster of women. Having these two going for the top title there, very significant.
Yeah. And this is something to where a match, I guess we didn't think we were going to get this soon. Now with Giulia's call up to SmackDown, which is a bit surprising for me personally. Not that I don't think she can handle it. I just you look at the rest of that women's roster. Why is she jumping the line with Roxanne?
Because they need a women's championship division. Other than those people aforementioned, your Giulia, your Roxanne, there isn't a lot else. There's a lot of competition for the women's United States title, but I don't see a lot of competition for. No one's really stepped up. No one really seems there. It's a lot of new talent.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, the NXT women's title seems like the number one women's title right now.
Exactly, and there's a very small division for it.
I would within WWE, I would say it's the number one best division, but the number two title for the top titles for the women. And I give Io Sky being the world champion that number one spot. If we're going to look at the straight, because that's a lot of tough competition on Monday Night Raw. If we're going to compare the Raw and SmackDown women's roster, Raw has the better roster in that sense.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting,
No
Captain Heel. Off topic, but will Ava ever wrestle again, or was she that bad? What happened? You know what?
I only saw her do 2 moves ever.
Yeah, I just think that she found something else that was better for her, and that she was able to focus on and still be able to contribute. You know,
Yeah.
this maybe this being in the ring was it for her, but at least that question we can answer. Unlike this. Dude,
I love how
you
we're
know,
able to relate everything back to that question. It's the question of the week. Truly is.
and I mean, for all we know, Ava could have suffered some type of injury or something that prevents her from
We
being
just
in the
never
ring
heard
full
about.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was so early on. It's like, hey, we can transition you to this. Because she had what, 2
Yeah.
matches, both of them when it was part of Joe Casey's group.
Yep. Yeah. Part of Schism.
Yeah, and
And
most of that
after that,
was,
yeah,
and
that
it
whole
was,
thing fell apart,
yeah,
and yeah, she never went back in the ring. She went straight to the GM role after talking to Paul Heyman.
yeah. And then this week we had Tatum Paxley losing her mind.
Yes.
When,
Yeah.
when
Well, when Gigi Dolan gets cut, that'll happen.
and Shotzi, both her friends got cut,
Yeah.
which
Yep.
led to a match between her and Thea Hale. That Thea Hale won by DQ.
Yeah.
And Paxley just continued to beat down. Should be interesting to see where this whole story with Tatum Paxley goes. Because it always seems like they're able to do enough to get me invested. And then all of a sudden you start doing this stuff and now you scale back. Like her and Gigi were just featured in major matches across
And then
NXT
Gigi
and
gets cut.
TNA. Yeah.
No one saw that Gigi cut coming.
Shotzi just chose not to re-sign, which is fine.
Well, no, they didn't give her the option to resign.
Oh, they just declined her option or whatever. It was like, yeah, we're not doing it.
Yeah, they told her when your contract is up, you're done.
Yeah, they really weren't doing anything with her, and the tank gimmick didn't translate up, so.
The Shotzi gimmick was fun, but I know she's also dealt with some injuries and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and
that didn't help.
Those injuries came every time she was getting a push as well.
She also had a kid, I'm pretty sure.
Who?
She had a kid, I'm pretty sure.
I don't think so.
Pretty sure she just, or no. She just got married. That's what it was. She was for what she was. That's right. She was out for a while. And she got married while she was out.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she didn't have a kid.
But no, it's just surprising. You know, we had Indy Hartwell make her debut. We wanted to release talent
on TNA. Yep.
Yes,
Good
sir.
to see her back.
Yes, sir.
DG and his Dr. P.
But can anybody answer this question still?
Tony Khan still can't. Neither can David Zaslav.
So the next on NXT, we had the contract signing with Ava doing the whole thing with Trick Williams and the man that I personally believe in, Joe Hendry.
Not
I was not clapping. That just happened to happen like that.
You did not hear me clap.
You really should look up Joe Hendry's song for Matt Cardona. Or his one for Sabu.
It was me, Austin. It was me all along.
Corporate con.
But yeah, so oh wait, we didn't do a pick. Battleground. Stephanie Bakir or Jordan Grace?
Stephanie. But it's a closer margin than my answer and the speed of it indicates. But yeah, Stephanie keeps it.
Stephanie, because I see Jordan getting the call up after that.
Yeah.
We all know that because we said when she signed that if she did go to NXT, I thought she should have gone straight to the main roster. But then, you know, that could interrupt storylines you already had planned.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we
made
all
sense
figured
for her
that
to
this
start
would,
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just going to be a stop. It wasn't going to be a destination for very long. And, yep, the call-up seems imminent, and this is going to be her big match before she goes to Raw or SmackDown.
I would love to see, personally, Jordan Grace the Raw. Like, if those,
That seems to
because
be
there is
the
a rumor of a draft now coming up at some point. Is this? I think that I saw July, might
Okay,
at the beginning of July.
There
sure.
aren't a lot of big names. There's like 4 big names in the Raw like women's scene. There's Becky, Bailey, Io, and Rhea.
Rhea.
That's all you got. Like otherwise, you got a lot of good talent, but they're not. I feel like Jordan will slot right in there into
Yeah,
that.
She could get right into that Intercontinental title picture
Well,
immediately.
they're not going to mess around with her and Lyra. You know.
no. And plus, on top of that, we could get like on Raw, Jordan and Rhea.
Yeah,
Like there's a lot. I think there's just better potential matchups right away for her that you could use to build her up. And then if you shift some of that talent, even like Jordan versus Tiffany, I think would be a good match. I would want to put Jordan in the ring with Charlotte because I would be too afraid of if Charlotte would do business or not.
Jordan versus Nia Jax. Yeah, yeah,
There's right there.
yeah.
I mean, I because also Roxanne Perez, I think will go to Raw as well because that's where they've been showcasing her more. Has been on the Raw side,
Yeah.
and it feels like they're already
with
building
Giulia
for something
going to
there.
SmackDown. Yeah,
If this draft ever happens, I can see when that call up will happen.
Yeah,
yep.
that's what I'm kind of hoping at this point. If they're doing, sorry.
Nah, blah, 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 blah.
Well, when does the NBA draft start? Because that's usually how WWE tries to time their drafts. They used to time it
Usually
around the
time, yeah.
NFL draft, and now it seems like that would be around the NBA draft time of the year.
Well, I don't know, but NHL's coming up in the next like month and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So they
Yeah.
would be tying into a draft.
yeah. NHL, NBA drafts are
And
around the
doesn't the
same time.
baseball
So,
draft?
yeah.
Doesn't the baseball draft happen soon? Because that usually happens right after the start of the season.
Yeah, but nobody
Baseball
cares
still
about
has a draft.
Nobody cares about the baseball. It's like,
Hey, somebody has to bring it up.
Yeah, I guess there's a draft for baseball. Sure. Bunch of high school kids that go to the minors.
Yeah. I mean, what, maybe 10% of players actually go to the big leagues right away? And don't
Probably
go
not
through the
even
minors?
that.
Oh no. There's been like a handful of players who skip the minors.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just in total percent. Steven Strasburg, I know, was one of them at one point. But yeah, so the contract signing, Trick Williams and Joe Hendry. I don't see
Yep.
Trick winning this.
No.
Yeah. I don't see the belt leaving Joe Hendry's shoulder. Yeah, I don't think Trick's the guy to
No.
bring the belt away from
one of those
another
things where I just-
promotion.
Hendry, I feel like Hendry will hold this belt until his contract's up, and then he'll jump to WWE. Maybe even still with the belt.
That would be an interesting storyline there.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got the belt and he's getting courted by both sides or whatever.
I believe during a CVV interview, he did say that this is his contract year.
Okay.
Well, yeah, that's out there. That's known.
No, but he just officially confirmed it because it was only rumored, and he officially finally confirmed that, which I don't blame him. You know, because
it's time to make that money.
Yeah, and he would fit perfectly within the WWE.
Absolutely.
His gimmick, his shtick, everything, that is the WWE playbook 101.
He's already over. You hear
You
it.
know where he would fit perfectly? LFG.
I'm not familiar with LFG.
He goes into catering for such an asinine thing to say about the man we believe in, Joe Hendry. All right, you just don't say those type of things, man.
On this podcast, we believe in Joe Hendry.
Yes. Bring
Yeah.
back. What
I'm
I
down
would
with
really
that.
love, what I personally would really enjoy draft wise.
Or Evolve. That would make a lot of sense too. There's a lot of competition on LFG, so maybe
That's what LFG is, right? I forgot that thing was a thing.
So anyway, oh, he's telling me to put him on cam right now. But no, I would. What I would really love for the draft is if they do the old school draft lottery, but you draft from NXT and you only trade from show to show. Let the draft be the call up. I think that
like a real sports draft, but then there's only 2 teams. You know,
right? That's the way it was.
Yeah, I mean, just think of the idea, because now wouldn't it be the importance of, hey, whatever show actually got that first pick? You know, that brings hype to whoever is that first overall pick.
So
didn't they also used to have Didn't they used to have a couple of matches that would determine which brand got the first pick?
Or got the pick advantage, yeah, because usually it was Raw with 3 picks, SmackDown with 2, to make the difference for Raw being an hour longer.
Here's how okay, so that works, but then you have the problem of like how to get people from one show to another. I mean, it can't just be exclusively trades, because then like there's reasons why people would be like, no, you can't have this talent. Blah, blah. So I'm thinking like maybe like exclusive contracts with the brands.
Yeah, so like the way, if it was me, the way I would, yeah, like if it was me as an example, how I would do it, champions cannot be traded. Champions they stay on their shows unless it's the NXT champion being picked as a call up within the draft, because NXT is the draft pool. Or the champion holds the title until they're beaten. There's no reason. I don't think there's no reason to vacate a championship because of a call up.
Well, Solo Sikoa had to vacate the North American title when he got called up.
It was more they stripped him of it because of his call up. That is a choice to be made.
It's the same thing, just calling it something else.
Because I'll make the argument, what made KO, because today's the 10-year anniversary of Kevin Owens' call up to the main roster and facing John Cena in the Open Challenge.
Nice.
Okay. And as NXT champion, and he held both that and I believe the United States championships at the same time, didn't he?
I don't remember.
But even Kevin Owens, having that champion called up, and even if it's only for a month or two until you get to the next PLE for him to drop the title, doesn't that mean more for the person that beat them? Because now they didn't just beat a fellow NXT star. They beat a main roster star now, somebody who's at the next level.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's a shame we're not going to get to see KO versus Cena one more time.
Yeah, he hasn't actually had surgery yet, and they're weighing the options.
He's in bad shape as is. Like,
yeah,
you're not throwing him out there without a better idea and or surgery.
It's not a Cody Peck situation where he's not going to make it any worse. Like, he could break his neck.
Right. Yeah, that would be very bad.
Yeah.
You know what? They should swap the GMs. Yeah, why? But then the one show just becomes the one show would just become the other. You know, Raw runs kind of on a chaotic, controlled chaos.
They keep the current GMs going until eventually Pierce versus I keep on to say Magnus, Nick Aldis, and then it's a like loser leaves town kind of thing. Then they bring in a new GM.
Then Ava gets called up to manage the losers brand.
Or just they bring back Teddy Long for a couple weeks. You know, who knows?
Yeah.
or what you do until you find somebody, the winner runs both shows.
We remember when Pierce was trying to do that and was losing his shit monthly.
Ooh, celebrity guest GM.
Oh God, no! Never again.
I don't know what
Wow,
he
that
said.
made DG put himself in catering.
I don't know what he said.
Hey, sometimes you get the munchies.
I didn't catch what you said. That was that offensive.
It was what you said, BJ.
But yeah, so we all have Joe Hendry retaining in the first ever TNA Championship events on WWE PLE.
Yes, indeed.
All right.
No other way this can go.
How about Obafemi and Miles Bourne? Can Miles Bourne conquer the ruler?
I like Miles Bourne, but no.
He's not there yet.
No. This is going to be a nice showcase match for him, but it's not going to be a win for him.
Do you see maybe a Charlie Dempsey turn? Because it seems like Charlie Dempsey thought that title shot would be his.
Oh, yeah, it seems that we're setting up for him to turn on the whole no quarter catch crew. But, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me when that happens.
You know, and speaking of GMs fighting, before we get one of them fighting for control and whatnot, don't we need to get Nigel and Randy Orton first?
Nigel.
Or all this? Look,
you're really trying to cross over the AEW and
look, you really want me to do a crossover? The battle of commentaries. Tony Schiavone and Nigel McGuinness versus Michael Cole and Pat McAfee.
Crew in that one.
No,
Unless
we got
we're
to
throwing Taz and Excalibur as the AEW team.
No.
They're just going to be the commentators for the match.
Taz versus Corey Graves. Taz versus Corey Graves. We got.
I'd go Taz.
I mean, for him, but obviously, Taz is completely immobile at this point and out of state.
Yeah, and Taz still wins.
And Corey Graves is like $1 million still.
Still going Taz.
And then we all have Stephanie Vauquier retaining against Jordan Grace.
Yes, we do. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So we have covered all of that.
All right.
Jordan Grace and Stephanie Vauquier did end up defeating Fatal Influence, which it looks like they're breaking up as well. That's going to be a short-lived group, which means maybe somebody's getting called up out of the group.
So what's that? JC, Jasmine, and Fallon?
Yeah.
Fallon Henley, yeah. Yeah, I see JC getting called up. Fallon, maybe.
JC's, I can see JC getting the call up.
That blows my mind. I thought Gigi Dolan was the better of the two, and she just got released.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But JC has improved herself since the Toxic Attraction days. Yeah, she's proved that she, did learn from Mandy Rose. And she actually has figured out what she needs to do to make her character work.
I mean, I feel like JC Jane's character hasn't changed in 4 years.
It hasn't really changed, but she figured out how to make it work. There is a difference between the two things.
But I just haven't seen nothing that makes me feel like she's evolved at all. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah, she hasn't, but she just figured out how to make it work.
Yeah.
She's been on somebody else's coattails the majority of the time. She hasn't really been on her own. And when
she figured out how to make that work. She made it work for her.
And then as NXT ended, we had Ethan Page attack Ricky Saints at the end.
Yep. Well, we knew that he wasn't done with this.
So I'm assuming that match probably gets added this week.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that makes total sense. That
or
makes that
Battleground.
match.
And I would have Ricky Saints retaining if that is.
I wouldn't. I would not. I would have Ethan Page taking the belt this time.
What are you fast tracking Ricky to the main roster?
No, I think that, you keep him on NXT for a bit, but I think you have him have a little bit of hardship there for a minute, and then have him overcome that adversity.
Heel
Okay.
Ricky Saints joining Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins.
Interesting, but I think I'd see Ethan Page there more quickly than Ricky Saints.
Hold that thought because we're going to talk about potential faction members later in the show.
Thought hell.
But at the moment,
For the Paul Heyman faction.
Yes.
We will be now taking a break. We have some footage from Primal Fear versus the Rep from the silver anniversary of the Backseat show.
Hell of a match.
Yes. Everybody enjoy, and we'll be back.
This match is not ready. Not a finisher. When are you going to start this? Oh yeah! You're in trouble now! Let's go, Rock! Let's go, Rock! Let's go, Rock!
And we're back.
Is he still in the penalty box? Or, sorry.
Yeah, he's
Catering.
over in catering, I guess. He's still noshing on, we got some good stuff back there this week, apparently.
Yeah, there's some Tostino's pizza rolls. Oh, what?
Ooh, pizza rolls. I got to check that out at some point.
That was like a Bray Wyatt glitch.
Hey, Eddie Ray, what's up?
What up? Hey, Ed, we're
Hey,
back.
there he is. So, has your hunger been satiated?
Yeah, they're refilling catering.
Are they bringing back the zebra cakes and Swiss rolls?
Some indie mark took everything. But yeah,
all right. What do you want to discuss next?
I guess we will start moving on to Saturday night main event stuff and start at Monday Night Raw.
Sure.
We had CM Punk kick off the show this week.
Quite the angry man he is.
Yeah, and angry at himself nonetheless.
Yes.
Saying that Jey Uso warned him about Heyman. He was angry that he trusted Heyman again.
Yeah. And then Heyman makes his appearance and gets called the Penguin.
Oh, freaking great. Absolutely loved it.
I love it how Heyman came out and then Seth just, came out and then Breaker just kind of like came out. Like it wasn't like they didn't come out like as one dominant. They came out like, oh, it's just me here. Oh no, I'm here too. I'm here too.
Yeah, it was super casual.
Hit him, pig. Me three.
No, Braun's like, oh, we were supposed to go out there.
Still half
Just
of
a
who
gorilla. Thought I
Yeah,
belonged here as a gorilla.
Let me.
I heard something about 100 men versus a gorilla, and I needed to go do some math.
Hopefully, his mother had better math skills than his uncle and brother.
But yeah, so this ends up with a fight with Punk, with Sami Zayn coming out, Jey Uso coming out, which don't know why he's necessarily getting involved in this when he has Logan Paul. But, Sammy being his boy, I guess, he's defending his own. And we get set up for Saturday night's main event. Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker versus Sami Zayn and CM Punk.
Should be a fun tag match. I fully expect the Seth Rollins faction to win this one. Yeah, they are ascendant, and this seems like a match that will definitely keep them on that ascendant path.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Paul Heyman guys also. I probably won't be able to find it, but I saw that WWE filed for a trademark for something that's going to be their faction name. It would take me forever to find it.
He thinks a Sami Zayn heel turn's coming.
Sammy, yeah. No, I think he could possibly join that faction. But we'll get to that.
We keep teasing this conversation.
Well, yeah. Like, we are on that conversation. We are literally talking about them. What else is there to tease?
We're talking about what happened, right? We can talk about the potential new faction members later.
But that fits as part of the conversation now, talking about them. Yeah, we got a lot to cover. We have a lot to cover still.
We can fit in there we're just dropping names. So why don't we do that at the end so we can just cut it off when we feel that's necessary?
Because none of us are going to remember.
He has a point.
I'll send myself to catering for being right.
And welcome back.
So,
find any good drinks back there yet?
Nope, still nothing. I smelled some popcorn being made though.
That wasn't popcorn.
That wasn't popcorn.
Is Randy Orton back there?
Dios mio.
So, yeah, I think Rollins and Breaker win this as well. I would be surprised to see them lose their first match out the gate.
Yeah, that would just be silly. Yeah, you're not necessarily. You're not necessarily feeding them an easy team. You're not feeding them an easy team at all, actually, in CM Punk and Sami Zayn. But, yeah, it's going to be a tough matchup, but it's one that they are going to win in order to establish how dominant they are.
And then you're going to have to feed them more. Get it? Because of the Paul Heyman connection. Sorry.
Why would you bring that moron of all morons up?
I didn't mention any names. I just said a phrase.
None of us have mentioned a name yet.
I just said a phrase that I say after I eat lunch every day.
A good match from Raw this week as well was Penta versus Chad Gable.
Of course, yeah. I mean, Chad Gable, he's been getting educated about luchadors from this new guy, El Grande Americano, who's obviously not Chad Gable. And, he's able to give Penta a fight, but, still having a little trouble with luchadors, apparently.
Well, Penta's Penta.
Yeah, Penta is Penta. So,
Penta's an ordinary luchador.
Yeah, I saw actually this week in my feeds a picture of the guy from Tool dressed as Penta back in 2016 has been popping up regularly. So
I did see that pop up, yes.
DG just flat out disappeared now.
I'm invisible. I use my ginger powers to go invisible.
All All right, Potter or Weasley.
You know, I'm just following in AEW's footsteps. That's all.
I'm done.
Ooh, wee.
You okay there?
No, I'm Ginger.
Walk toward the light.
See?
Shame on TNT and Mac. Yeah. We don't know what happened, and we probably never will. What happened to the feed on Collision?
But yeah, so in other news from companies that don't cut their feet off a half hour early for no reason, we had American Made beat the War Raiders this week. New Day helped them pick up the win, but still a good win for those boys over former tag team champions.
Creed brothers are in need of some more exposure on TV. They deserve more exposure on TV. They deserve more wins on TV. And this win over the War Raiders, and it definitely showcased them well, showed them against a powerful team who recently lost their tag titles to the New Day, who, yes, they did help the Creed brothers to get the actual 1, 2, 3, but Creed brothers probably could have done it without the interference there.
Yeah, I agree. But, you know, they're just playing this up to something bigger. The New Day will have, you know, some multi-team match or something somewhere down the road. Like, this War Raiders feud isn't over. They're going to get their ways back to those, at least a championship match.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and maybe they can the New Day can redeem themselves and both those teams after that poor WrestleMania performance.
I think the New Day, I'm not sure if you mean redeem themselves as far as like to being baby faces, because I don't think they really care about being baby faces or heels right now. They're just, you know, out for themselves, doing what they want to do, not there for the
New Day. New Day are
I don't think they're looking for.
Oh,
I don't think they're looking for a redemption arc right now.
On that note, are we ever going to see Big E again?
Not in the
ring.
No, but I mean, in connection to this story. Ew. Look at this.
AEW Dark.
Ew.
What? Yeah, dude. Yeah, that ain't right.
Yeah.
Are we?
It's kind of good. Go rinse it off.
I was going to say, yeah, definitely. You might want a couple of Clorox wipes, then rinse it.
Yeah. So after that, we get the Jey Uso segment talking about what happened after Raw went off the air last week with Logan Paul getting the sneak attack on him. Mm-hmm. But then Gunther comes out. And what an announcement from him we get that he is the next in line and faces the
winner of Uso and Paul. So I think that makes total sense that Gunther gets the winner here. He is the most recent champion beyond Jey, and he deserves his rematch. There's one champion recently who's been dominant, who has proven that he deserves rematches. I feel it's Gunther.
Oh, I'm surprised we didn't get back to it sooner. In all honesty. But that's fine. They gave us a little side quest with Gunther to take on McAfee and give him his respect.
Yeah, I just wish Gunther had done a little more to McAfee before giving him his respect. But that's just me personally. And a increasingly loud part of the vocal minority of McAfee haters online.
Yeah. So now this does bring up a question, because when they did the big thing at the WWE headquarters for the announcement of some of the stars that are coming over the Raw for the Netflix debut. And Logan Paul was announced as one of them. We had a couple weeks of teasing between those two having a match. Is it a possibility that Logan Paul somehow wins the world championship and has to defend against Gunther?
God, I hope not. Although
God, I hope not as well, but
there's nothing there for the crowd.
Yeah. I would. The one thing that would be there for the crowd would be Gunther just absolutely pulverizing Logan Paul. That would be it.
But I also already said something. I feel like Gunther's kind of a face because now he's just this guy. He's like, I'm just coming out here to whoop everybody's ass. You hate me. You hate me. I really don't care about your opinion one way or the other.
He's done nothing to turn face.
No.
I mean, Austin never did anything to necessarily turn face.
Well, he cut a promo, didn't he?
At King of the Ring after he won.
Well, no, Austin
and
was
then he
always
had the
meant
match
to
against
be,
Brett.
Yeah.
Well, no. But I'm just saying he never did anything that would have said, "Oh, I am a good guy." Stone Cold just did what Stone Cold wanted, and we all accepted it.
Well, Stone Cold was an anti-hero. Like, if it had
But
to
he
be,
was always meant to be a heel.
right?
He was like his character did all heel tendencies, and we just cheered for it because anti-establishment. I wish I could.
There's a definition. There's a definition of face and heel that I heard recently, where the face is the one who's giving the audience what they want, and the heel is the one who's trying to take it away.
Yeah.
So that would be Stone Cold right there. He's giving the audience what they want.
I mean, but if we go by like the '90s terms of what it was meant to be, that's what it was meant to be. Now we look at it as the anti-hero. The guy who you shouldn't necessarily cheer for, but you see yourself in him and you kind of want to cheer for him. Like, what person would? Some people would love to get paid to go to work every week and kick their boss's ass.
Yeah. Stone Cold was living out a lot of people's fantasy in that era.
Eddie in the chat, Logan Paul isn't winning right now. I don't think there is a title for him to win in WWE right now. That
Not unless there's
to put him.
Injuries and
I don't see him beating Jacob Fatu. I don't see him winning the Intercontinental Championship right now. I don't see him beating Jey Uso, even though I think that's going to be a great match because
there it is, John Cena. That's the title he's gonna beat John Cena.
That would be the ultimate thing to kill wrestling on John Cena's last televised event.
Finger poke of doom style. Wow, we made him put himself. Nice work there, BJ. Boom.
Hey.
Oh man. Yep. Finger poke of doom. John Cena hands over the title to Logan Paul. Oh God, I would hate myself if that happened, and I wouldn't even.
I would hate myself for loving it.
I'll accept it if we do it in the triple cage from Ready to Rumble. We gotta do it full blown David Arquette style.
I'm due for another watch of that movie. That movie's classic.
We watch it every month or so at work.
It's torture.
Hands up, Snakey.
It's torture every time.
But wonderful torture. Like beautiful madness.
So I guess we all have Jey Uso retaining here against Logan Paul.
Yes.
Yeet.
All right.
Woo.
Wait, what was that other one? Thriller? Like Ladies and gentlemen, this show start. There were no rails for this show to start on.
That's it. I'm laughing more than I've laughed at any other show we've done.
We are uncontrollably going down a hill that has a bunch of rocks and stuff on it. It is not steady by any means, and we're barely holding it together.
Are you not entertained?
Paper clips, scotch tape, and plastic straws are holding this thing together, MacGyver style.
What are you using those plastic straws for?
Oh yeah, and there's a single avocado and snorkel.
Oh,
Made things with less.
We're using the plastic straws to drink avocado. I get it.
Yes, avocado juice.
So after we get the whole Jay Gunther segment, we get what is in the running for me for one of my match of the week candidates: AJ Styles and Finn Balor.
Yeah.
As I am actually wearing my AJ Styles shirt this week.
Nice. I'm sure Mrs. DG disagrees with your assessment of that match.
She's a huge fan of both of them. So,
but we know who she's picking out of the two.
I don't know. That might be debatable nowadays.
Okay.
But yeah, they had a fantastic match on Monday Night Raw. And I think that's the first time they've had a match with each other since the match that Finn as the Demon was supposed to have with Bray.
Okay.
Like years ago. I don't think they've had another one-on-one match since then. Not in WWE anyway. And
I know they have fought in NJPW with the whole Bullet Club thing. I know that had to have been a thing.
Well,
I'm sure.
No, I think they're like, because there was a match. It was like the TLC pay-per-view, one of the last ones they did. And it was supposed to be The Fiend, or not The Fiend, just Bray Wyatt versus the Demon, Finn Balor.
Okay.
And
that's happening.
And something ended up happening with Bray. He couldn't make it to, like, there was weather or something.
It was MRSA, I believe. That was when everybody got MRSA.
Yeah, and so that match ended up turning into a cross-promotional match with AJ Styles coming from Smackdown to have the match. And randomly on some random pay-per-view card out there, the Wrestling God's Grace stuff. So I can't give you Bray, but I'll give you AJ Styles versus Finn Balor. Okay.
Sure.
They don't want them.
They don't want none.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we could say it was a phenomenal match.
I see what you did there.
You know, at least a match we got to see.
Yeah. It's better than no match or an alleged match.
But yeah,
maybe they struck a match through those two matches.
And then after that, we have BJ's favorite female wrestler, Becky Lynch, out in the ring because he loves her promos so much. How she just stops and starts. He thinks it's the best promo style ever and that everybody on the roster should do it.
Well, it's also the breathing. Yep. Okay. Took himself to catering.
That's the lady from Wendy's.
Yeah. Throw a couple pigtails on her. Absolutely.
But yeah, we essentially get Becky Lynch putting the entire women's locker room on Raw on notice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of surprised that we're not revisiting her and Lyra one more time, but we still could.
Oh yeah.
It's the seed has been planted. Like, it's not done, but it'll be there. Like.
Yeah. And then the main event of Raw was Io Sky and Rhea Ripley defeating Giulia and Roxanne Perez. Boy, that was a really good match as well.
Yeah, it was. And seemingly the breakup
Yeah, the separation there.
Yeah.
Like it's surprising how much we're seeing this play out. I really think Roxanne goes into that Intercontinental title picture on Raw. Whenever the call up happens, I think that's where she goes.
Makes
It would be hard for me right now because let's just look at this year for her already, or at least a little bit before that. 2-time NXT champion. She held the tag team titles before all that stuff happened with Cora. Yeah, she was runner up in the Royal Rumble. She was in the Elimination Chamber match to get a shot at the championship at WrestleMania. You know, she's been in some big spots. So now if you're going to have her really build on all that, let's throw her in there with Lyra. Somebody she's already worked with in NXT that will help.
Just like Jordan Grace, I would completely bypass that division and put her in the women's championship division.
I disagree. I like the Intercontinental division for her better right now. I don't want to see her dumping rungs on the ladder necessarily. I'd rather see her keep climbing it steadily.
I'm forgetting how young she is also.
Yeah.
I
She's
would say
22
this though.
still.
Yeah.
I would say this. I would be okay with her maybe jumping everybody if they have the balls to put the Money in the Bank briefcase on her.
Is she going to get a qualifier? Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, if they put her in that match, then we have something to talk about to where, hey, she can't, because she'll be able, because now they have the history, you can use it on any championship, basically. With Austin Theory using his on the United States. What was it, the U.S. title?
Yeah, against Bobby Lashley because Roman was too unbeatable for him.
Yeah.
Which is the worst excuse ever to not use the Money in the Bank briefcase on somebody, especially when you can use it whenever you want.
Well, this is Austin Theory we're talking about.
And it was Vince McMahon booking this, though.
Half of it. I think Triple H got the very back end of that.
Yeah, he might have.
But you know, I think I would just be afraid to push Roxanne too quickly at a young age, and we end up in another situation like Paige or / Saraya. You know, all that success, super young. You kind of put her. You break the glass ceiling with her, and then you're never able to get back to it.
So you don't want her to get psoriasis.
And next thing you know, she's coming out with, managing a tag team instead of being,
Yeah, but Roxanne Perez would be somebody like with the trajectory of what they've shown. I could see that being as, hey, your moment. You know, we didn't give you the Royal Rumble because we couldn't, but we made you look strong, being the last one eliminated. Yeah. We put you in that elimination chamber, which she had a good showing in the chamber. Like
would not be the first rookie that they've put the Money in the Bank on. I mean, they gave it to Tiffany last year.
Yeah, like if we're looking at now, like a lot of these people are getting the moment. Like at the moment, I could also see Chelsea Green winning it. She was close last year, and I feel like that she's not going to stay in that U.S. women's title picture for much longer.
They need something to move her up, and Money in the Bank would be a good vehicle to do that.
And Tiffany needs fresh competition because at the way that division looks to me right now, after she beat Nia on Friday night, that we're looking at a fatal 4-way coming up because Jade and Naomi are somehow revolving around this women's title picture and their feud's not done.
Yeah. Tiffany looked really good in that match too on Friday night.
Yeah. And I saw people online criticizing her about the drop kick to the chair spot, which isn't that nobody's at foot. That's the chance you take doing that spot. Like I saw it right away. I'm like, ooh, Nia got cut open the hard way. Like that was because there was no time for anything else to happen.
Right. Hey, It was effective. It got her the win. So
Hey, she introduced the chair to begin with.
There were actually spots in that match that looked really rough.
Yeah.
I mean, that could also be a case that since Nia's tougher, they can go a little bit harder at each other. So, you know, you kind of increase not necessarily the violence, but the realism some. And, you know, it was just a bad moment where she was holding the chair. And I just think she had the chair flipped the wrong way, where the bottom of the chair got her instead of the flat part where you sit.
Yeah.
Right.
So, you know, that's a rougher side of the chair. She got cut open. You know, no fault of anybody's own. Yeah. Or she was just too close to it. She didn't hold it out.
She was holding it pretty close to her when she came in the ring, and that was real tight there.
That's one of those things for a young wrestler. She's never going to make that mistake again. You know?
Yeah, that's one of those things you do once.
But just the way I look at it, I don't fault Tiffy for it. Like that, she was just hitting that low drop kick for the spot to set
she
up.
Hit her spot.
Yeah,
she hit her mark perfectly. Actually, like when you see it.
Yeah. So that now, since we're talking about SmackDown a little bit, we get this whole thing with Solo, Jacob, and Jeff Cobb, now known as JC Mateo.
Sounds like an NSYNC reject.
Oh, I don't know what to think of it. I'm like, why can't we just stick with JC?
Yeah, what was wrong with Jeff Cobb to begin with?
They can't
use that name. It came from somewhere else.
But yeah, we get it looks like a little bit of friction within the whole group.
I love you, Solo.
Yeah, he's like, what did you used to say? How did you used to say it all the time? Solo tried.
Solo.
Say it again. Say it for me.
Solo's really trying to take credit for a lot of Jacob Fatu's achievements right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that not exactly sitting with Jacob too well.
As well as shouldn't. Yeah, Fatu's worked his way up to be where he is because he's a beast, not because he had Solo by his side.
No matter what situation Fatu was put into the WWE in, he would have had this success. In fact, I would argue that this whole Bloodline storyline is holding him back.
Who, Solo or Jacob Fatu?
Fatu.
What Bloodline? I don't think there is a Bloodline storyline anymore. Not at the moment.
What I'm saying is, like, his interactions with Solo and everything, like, if it wasn't for that, I think he would be ahead of where he is now.
Not that it's a Bloodline storyline per se, but just like the Bloodline in general.
Just the story.
He's that big of a star that no matter if they would have stuck him on Raw fighting Austin Aries, he would have gotten to this point and passed it by now.
Aries, wow.
Austin Theory. Oh my God. Yeah, bring back Austin Aries. He's doing commentary for NWA. Bring him back.
You know what? I think this is really being used as a way to. Jeff Cobb is taking Fatu's spot. It's just a matter of how the breakup happens at this point, and that we could still see somebody else, because it feels like Solo's not necessarily rebuilding the bloodline.
Right.
I could see when the Tongaloa and Tamatonga come back that they're going to side most likely with Jacob, because those three came in together. Would almost make sense for them to stay together. And not necessarily, or just everybody's on their own. But Solo's making a push for Money in the Bank. He's making a push for that WWE Championship. So I think he's trying to come up. So we're going to have to see how that goes.
But it definitely, like, this story has legs, and I can see, like, whenever the Tongans are healthy, like, it being a month worth of stories, like, who are they going to side with? Who are they there for?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Which side is he on?
Right.
And then, as this segment ends, we get LA Knight coming, music hitting, everybody looking at the ramp.
Yeah.
Late night. Sorry.
And
That's how it goes, right?
Yes. That's exactly how it
and then
goes.
we get him attacking Jeff Cobb / JC Mateo.
Yep. JC Chazes.
Yeah. Which leads later on in the night, after Solo's triple threat qualifier for Money in the Bank, which he pins Ray Phoenix to beat him and Jimmy Uso. LA Knight comes back out, attacking him again, which leads to Nick Aldis coming out, and we get the in-ring debut on SmackDown of Jeff Cobb, now
Who?
known as JC Mateo,
Oh, that guy.
defeating LA
NSYNC
Knight.
dude. Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, I'm sorry, you're too built for NSYNC, man.
No, he's the muscly one.
The muscly one.
He got a little too muscly, they kicked him out.
But yeah, and that was a decent match.
Mm-hmm.
It was better than what I thought it was going to be.
I thought we were going to see more out of JC.
Yeah.
But
You were expecting him to walk on water?
yeah.
It was enough.
Turn wine into water. Wait, no.
Yes. No, that's exactly what he did.
I mean, it was enough that we got the match. We kind of got his in-ring debut. Just, we got in the most random way possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like, we didn't even get ring gear. Like,
No, he was just there in street clothes.
yeah, we didn't like
And wrestling boots.
We didn't see the most out of him. You know, I can't wait for that announced one-on-one, like his first like real match.
But I feel like we saw enough. That was a good tease to get to that moment. Like he got to put on some power, show his power a little bit, do a couple other things to show why he is a force to be reckoned with.
Mm-hmm.
And other Money in the Bank news, we had Alexa Bliss defeat Chelsea Green and Michin, which I'm hoping there's a second chance way into the match for some of the people, because you would think that Chelsea Green would be on her way up to that spot.
Yeah. They usually have that second chance match to fill in the last spot. So hopefully, because that's the only way for Chelsea to get the belt or the Money in the Bank briefcase at this point. Sneak herself in there somehow.
We're still 2.5 weeks out, something like that, from Money in the Bank as I think they said 3 weeks. So something like that.
Yeah, it's June 7th, so.
Oh yeah, it's the same weekend as Worlds Collide.
Yes. And then
same day as Worlds Collide.
I think they're doing one Saturday, one Sunday.
Yep, 3 o'clock, 7 o'clock.
Oh yay.
And we'll be live streaming it all. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll be at work for it all.
Oh boy.
I don't pay to watch AEW.
Apparently neither does nobody else, because if you do, you're going to wonder what happened to the end of the show.
Yeah, I don't want to be. I don't want to pay $50 and miss an hour and a half.
But yeah, so after that we had Fraxium versus DIY this week.
Fine, I'm sold on these guys.
You're in on Fraxium finally?
Yeah, no, just their enthusiasm, their energy, their youth and exuberance. Like, yeah. I like them. They remind me of a young DIY.
Yes. Yeah. No, there's a lot of good similarities there with a lot of the teams. Can we not do anything here, people?
No, we can't.
We're still doing better than AEW, though.
Yes, we're
Because the show hasn't randomly cut.
It's an hour and a half in, and we're still on.
We're 4 minutes longer than AEW this week already.
Oh, for Collision, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so coming out Fraxium defeating DIY next week, it will be them versus the Street Profits for the WWE Tag Team Championship.
Good for them. Yeah, they've got this 4-match win streak. Good luck beating the Street Profits the second time in a row, though.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised it's happening this quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think there's a chance?
There's a chance, but no.
We're going to see some funny business. We're going to see some shenanigans.
I think this match is a match that gets thrown out. I agree. Some funny type of business because you're not going to want to waste that first pinfall loss if you're going to be doing something else because we've seen 2 other teams involved. Yep. So we're probably looking at some point some crazy match for Fraxium to maybe get back to them championships.
I'm down for that.
Yeah. And then we get that R-Truth sit down with Wade Barrett.
That is the most serious that R-Truth has been in a decade and a half.
Yeah, seriously.
And he wasn't wrong about any of it.
Yeah.
That's probably the most lucid R-Truth has been in like a decade.
Lucid in his logic. However, his lucidity does not lie in reality. Like he based it on his old vision of John Cena, which does not align with the current reality of John Cena. So his logic, I see where his logic's coming from, but it's currently flawed logic by R-Truth.
Have you ever considered that R-Truth might be a time traveler?
Oh yeah, there's that theory that's been around for a while.
What? You don't know that R-Truth's really Doctor Who?
I haven't been on Reddit in a while, so I haven't really looked into it. But have we ever considered that R-Truth is a time traveler?
Oh yeah, that would make 100% total sense.
And that like K-Quick will be the WWE champion in 2050.
God help.
Wow, it's going back to K-Quick. Okay, did not see that coming.
And we still won't know what happened in 2050 with that episode of Collision.
25.
We will still be asking that question. I'll be elderly in a nursing home, maybe.
when we are still doing this show in 2050, I want to make sure we have this clip ready.
Yes.
Yeah, so now at Saturday night's main event, we have R-Truth versus John Cena.
I 100% expect John Cena to win this. There's no way R-Truth's winning this, but yeah, it's going to be his match against his hero that he's had since he was a little boy. So good for him getting this match, but there's no way R-Truth's winning this.
Yeah, I'm trying to go on.
I would love there to be a world where this becomes a WWE Championship match and R-Truth defeats John Cena for the title. Just
only to have it Dusty Rhodes away from him somehow.
Oh, that's exactly what's going to happen if that was to be made a title match. That's what, dude. How much would the fans hate John Cena even more?
I just had a funny thought. Like the match, the bell rings, the match starts, and Truth immediately gets out of the ring, goes to the corner, grabs a little string, and it's like, "All right, John, do it, John. I got you. Like he's his tag team partner. Seeing it, I'm like,
yeah. Cena's just like, what are you even doing, man? Get rowdy.
That would be funny. I would enjoy that.
Yeah, that would be what's up.
But you know what? With it being a non-title match, With this being a non-title match, would it hurt Cena if R-Truth randomly rolled him up for a win and maybe earns a title shot and then do the Dusty finish on PLE?
I'm sorry, but there's only one question I can focus on right now.
Let's just say we don't have time for that. We don't have time. We have like 6.5 months. All right. What's that? Like 26 shows, and only a few of them Cena's scheduled for. Like, we don't have time for an R-Truth feud. We need a Punk feud. We need the Cody resolution. We need
no, for the Cody resolution, we need The Rock.
Right. Well, that yeah.
Whatever.
We need at least an AJ Styles match.
Mm-hmm.
We need and this is I read a little something that and I agree with it completely. We need, after everything is said and done, 2 weeks before the end of December, we need a Braun Breaker versus John Cena match.
John versus Braun.
Now
and he puts over Breaker on the way out.
No, hold on. I was going to say, what if him and Rollins is still a team and we see a situation where Seth Rollins is the world champion and Braun Breaker is the WWE champion?
And they're running shop. And of course, by then they'll have like a team, a faction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I'm saying, even if it stayed them two, almost like a two-man power trip.
Oh, right.
Like, no tag team, nothing else. They are the two Paul Heyman guys. That is always a possibility, just without tag team championships. They're winning singles gold, but they're still a unit.
So would they appear on each other's show?
Why not? You give an excuse for there to be crossover, or at the worst, the group is together, but they dominate the other show, and Paul Heyman appears with both of them on each show.
So it's pretty much the Bloodline all over again.
That's what this is. You're already not getting hints that this is the Bloodline all over again.
Well, I want it to be something different.
But it's not going to... Look, if they're going to resurrect whatever they're doing with Dark State and NXT, this is going to just... I think that this is going to be a closer version to Evolution than the Bloodline, but we're looking at something to where Seth Rollins is now where kind of Roman was, to be able to elevate his cousins up. I think that this is all going to be for Seth Rollins to have a group to elevate all the guys they think should be the next generation.
Yeah.
Which is why I think Theory and Austin Theory and Grayson Waller would be the perfect addition to that group. Because they both have potential. They just need something different, a changing character. Because they're not taken really all that serious. And it's either that or they need to break them up. And one of them joins the Seth Rollins group, which then I would say Austin Theory, because he has history with Rollins already, as being one of his disciples or whatever during the COVID era.
Yeah. 1 year from now, Grayson Waller among 19 released from WWE.
Yeah. Probably.
And Grayson Waller will end up in GCW with the GCW championship.
By the way, yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. By the way, we had talked about doing an early WrestleMania predictions video where we predict the card.
Okay.
For next WrestleMania. And I think we can talk about that and maybe get that going.
Now?
No. I was just bringing it up because
we can't we can't do that now. We gotta find the last half hour of Collision from last night.
Man, that's been David Copperfielded out of the world.
Yeah, that got Chris Angeled.
David Blaine might have even
Mind
had something
freaked off.
do with it. Boy, oh boy. Aleister Black and Carmelo Hayes was a good match this week till Miz got involved.
And now Nakamura is calling out Aleister Black.
Nakamura was he called out a couple names. He brought up LA Knight again.
Yeah, but mainly, that's all I got out of it. Like, oh my God, I'm going to see Black versus Nakamura again. I think that's happened before.
Yeah.
In NXT, maybe.
We kind of talked about the women's championship match. So what we still have to talk about is the Drew McIntyre promo from this week that ended up revealing that him and Damian Priest steel cage Saturday night's main event. BJ shocked his glasses empty.
Nobody else's.
I don't even feel a wet spot. I didn't spill any. Did someone? Oh no! I turned my camera off because when I left to use the restroom, I think someone might have snuck in and drank the rest of it.
That was the beer drink elf.
Hey, maybe it disappeared like the last half hour of Collision.
Where's Sheik? I see him over there. He wasn't here.
No, Sheik didn't have time. He was on his way to the ring for WrestleMania. But yeah, so
I see what you did there.
You know, we get Drew accusing Priest of being obsessed with him.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, he wants to end this in a steel cage at Saturday night's main event.
Cool. Let's end it.
Who comes out the winner of this?
I am going with Priest just because it feels like that's the way they want to go to end this feud is end it with Priest on top and then just have McIntyre claim that he was victorious anyway and move on. So, and then, yeah, it's got that feel like that's the way this one's going to end, unfortunately.
You know what, I wouldn't mind that, but I think Drew needs to win more.
I think he does, but
like Drew definitely needs to win more because we've seen like the last match, they weren't even a part of the finish because they had to take each other out.
Right.
You know, we've seen what this feud has gone to, and Drew just looking dominant throughout the feud would be good because now, hey, that's another match that could be on the John Cena card. A Drew McIntyre John Cena match?
Sure.
Both on SmackDown. Like, it would just make sense.
Yeah, why not? McIntyre wants that title back. Sure.
Yeah, that was the thing that I read. That was another one that was on there.
Like, even though they're both heels, who cares? Like, at this point, it's about the retirement.
Right. All right. That's cool, Can. Dr. Brewlittles.
So now we have talked about everything that I think we've all collectively watched this week.
Yep.
So now it is
and
time.
some stuff that none of us have watched this week.
You know.
What happened to it?
It is time for our match of the week, and I can tell you it's not in the last 30 minutes of Collision because nobody knows what happened in the last 30 minutes of Collision.
Yeah.
Dude, the last half hour of Collision is the best half hour of wrestling I've seen in a long time.
The best half hour of wrestling I've never seen in my life.
That's So now, everybody, BJ, start with you. Your match of the week.
Oh, man, part of me wants to say Moxley and Joe, but I'm just so mad about that match. Honestly, oh my God, there's so many. I mean, there was a lot of good matches this week, a lot of trash matches this week. Not trash, but like a lot of matches that just didn't stand out. What was the what was the qualifier?
Solo, Ray
the
Phoenix,
women's
and
qualifier?
Jimmy Uso.
The women's qualifier.
Alexa Bliss defeating Chelsea Green and Michin.
Yeah, that was pretty dope, but I wouldn't give that match of the week. I don't know. Maybe I'll go. Yeah, maybe I'll go AEW again and go Mox and Joe, even though it just.
It
As
felt
much
like,
as I watched it.
yeah, it was a good match, but it felt like such a throwaway title match with Gabe Kidd coming. Like Gabe Kidd debuting was great. It's just you couldn't do that.
Taken out of context, that match was great. But in the current state of AEW, I hate watched it.
I hate watching
He
it.
watched.
All right,
It's like they're mad watching that.
Chef, what is your match of the week?
My match of the week, I am going back to SmackDown, and I'm going with the main event. Tiffany Stratton keeping her belt and over Nia Jax. They really had a good match. I was entertained for the entire time. And yeah, just it was back and forth. You had the near interference by Naomi that was stopped by Jade Cargill. And I just felt like it gave Tiffany just that extra boost that she needed for legitimacy. She finally beat Nia the one-on-one pre-planned match, as opposed to just taking her belt with the Money in the Bank briefcase. So yeah, that's my match of the week.
All right.
DG, what do you got?
I have two candidates for match of the week: AJ Styles and Finn Balor,
That was a really good one.
and Fraxium and DIY.
It's also a very good match.
There was a spot in the DIY Fraxium match where they do a dive to the outside, and you just see Ciampa go flying into the second row over the barricade. Like he totally lost his balance and just went right into the crowd.
Yep. Like, please catch me.
It was like he was going into the barricade and thought he was further back than what he was, and then when he finally got to the barricade, it was like, uh-oh. Oh, that's great. I'll give it to Fraxium and DIY. I really enjoyed that tag team match.
I do have a segment of the week.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Let's roll with it.
My segment of the week was Taz's beautiful words about the dearly departed Sabu.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, he even took off the glasses for that.
Yeah. For how Collision ended, I'd like to put on that note, I thought AEW did a great Mongo tribute, which was what ended Collision this week on TV.
Unintentionally. We still don't. We never will.
We'll know about that. We know how many licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop, but we'll never know what happened to the last half. 1, 2, 3.
Crunch.
3.
We're all know that.
Another honorable mention, just real quick, for match of the week: Mike Bailey and Blake Christian on Collision. They had a really good match.
I did not. I caught the last half hour of Collision, but I did not catch that match.
He's the one guy who caught in the last half hour of Collision.
But I've seen both of those guys live at the same show back like 2 or 3 years ago, and I was very impressed by both. And just like I would love to, I think I might actually go back and rewatch that match. I would love to see what both of those guys one-on-one with no nonsense going on around it.
Yeah, we have a lot
might
of
pop on Max a little later. On Max a little later, just rewatch Collision and see if that half hour's there now. Maybe.
So last night I actually went on Max right when it happened, and the feed had cut on there. And then previous to us going live, before you got into the backstage, I actually went looking for it and couldn't find it because that's what we were.
Okay.
Because. We were going to try to watch it real quick.
Tony said later in the week.
He says it's going to be a really big surprise.
Huge.
But yeah, guys, we got a lot of wrestling coming up this week, especially next weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Next weekend, we'll have Battleground, Saturday night's main event, TNA Under Siege, which we didn't even have really time to talk about this week. Which that's shaping up to be a really great show.
Yeah. We'll definitely have to keep an eye on that one and watch that.
Any other exciting stuff that you guys might try to catch? I know personally I'm going to try to catch some footage of the Crockett Cup from this weekend. Natalie wrestled over there. I heard it was a really good show.
Oh, yeah, that was at the ECW Arena, wasn't it?
Yep.
My sister's family actually went down to some con in South Jersey today and got to see Drew Gulak wrestle this afternoon. Wheeler Yuta was also at the same place.
I saw that.
Wheeler Yuta trained at Catch Point, I do believe.
All right, so they just happened to be at this con, and it was, I believe, Labor of Love was the wrestling fed that was running it. So yeah, they got to see Drew Gulak, and I was like, unfortunately, I'm stuck at home, but otherwise, I would have been in my car already on the way down there as soon as she told me.
There might not be any more Spocasts for the time being, but everybody go follow Spo Wrestling, Instagram, X, YouTube, Facebook.
Big things happening for Spo Wrestling.
Which will be in a couple weeks, the Pro Wrestling Star Academy opening.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you live in the area, the South Jersey, Philly area, and you're interested, contact at Spo Wrestling on Instagram, Facebook, wherever you social media they're at. A lot of exciting things coming down for that as well.
I'm going to be spending so much money on Ubers. You guys can walk there. I gotta fork up the cash every time I want to get over there.
Wait, I could walk, but I'm going to be lazy and just use my e-bike to get there in like 90 seconds instead of 5 minutes.
I could walk, but I don't feel like spending a half an hour on warm-up.
and then Barry would get confused why he's walking without him.
Yeah.
Like, wait, you're going for a walk. Why aren't you taking me? What happened to my walk?
Well, Barry's going to get an ACL surgery next month, so...
So I'm going to be the one out of the three of us that walks there.
All the way from your other
You
town.
come, yeah, I'll be there in 6 hours.
But yeah, we are talking about future stuff for the channel in our off time, and we will have some special things coming up soon, I think.
Oh yeah, the summer's going to be fun.
Not a lot that we can exactly talk about, but there's a lot of good stuff coming up.
Oh yeah. And let's just say the summer is going to be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
So in the meantime, everybody be good to each other. Keep putting positivity into the world, and we'll see you next week for another episode of BJ and DG Talk
1, 2,
Wrestling,
3,
and maybe
ring the bell.
Everybody watching, I'm going to need you to visit www.freakkings.com. Check out all the merch. And before you do that, I'm going to need you to check out BJDG YouTube and Instagram. And while you're doing that, you won't have to remember the name, because you'll remember the face.